What's up, you guys? Steven here for Off the Shelf Movie Night to talk to you about physical media, about Blu-rays, 4Ks, and DVDs, the way we like to buy and own our movies and TV shows and documentaries and display them and watch them at our leisure without worrying about them recut, re-edited, or removed from a streaming service. If this is your first time finding me here, please hit that sub button, hit that notification bell, join this conversation, because that's the whole reason that this channel exists, is because I want to talk to you about your collection, talk to you about my collection, and share tidbits about collecting. How we collect, why we collect, when we collect, and where we collect. So join the conversation. I don't normally do what I would consider breaking news. There's other channels that do that so much better than mine. And if you guys want me to actually list off some of those at some point, let me know, because I would love to promote some channels that I really have a lot of respect for. But anyway, I do more commentary outside of, unboxings and reviews. And that's what I'm doing today, because what I'm talking about broke yesterday and the day before, and I want to talk about how these two announcements impact physical media as a whole. So let's talk about the two announcements, and then I'll talk about what I think they mean for physical media in general. The one, most important one, the one everyone's freaked out about one way or another, is Criterion's announcement yesterday. As I record this yesterday, you're watching this 5 years from now, well, you know. You know what's going to happen. Their announcement that on November 22nd, they will be releasing, if I can speak, a special edition 4K of Disney Pixar's WALL-E. So this freaked out a lot of people in a good way. They got really excited that this is coming out. It really bothered some people in another way. And I kind of see both sides of it, to be honest with you. But I want to just get to the crux of it. And the first thing I had to do, because the biggest argument from the naysayers is that this isn't what Criterion does. And it's hard to say that. While I kind of do agree in some ways, it's hard to say that without coming off kind of elitist. It's like, oh, Criterion only does these, pinky out elitist art house movies. Well, they do. I mean, that's what they do. But they also have done RoboCop. They've done Armageddon. They've dipped their toe in the blockbuster world before, in the mainstream world before. Let's get through this and I'll talk about why I think it's important what they're doing. But first thing I want to do is just show you an image, and I'm going to put it up right here of what their mission statement actually says. Because let's remember what they actually say they do versus what we feel like they do based off what we buy from them. At its core, what they do is release important films, what they consider to be important films, with the highest technical quality they can. That's the core of their mission. So that begs the question, is WALL-E an important film? Yeah, it is. So to me, outside of what they say in their mission statement, I've always felt that Criterion did a good job at releasing films that had cultural relevance, right? That mattered in some way, either had an impact on art and filmmaking or had a big piece of social commentary. A movie like Come and See is a beautiful movie, but I feel the social commentary that it has there is probably even more impactful than the look of it, right? So that's just my interpretation based off being a longtime collector of Criterion, of something I thought was important. So when I look at WALL-E, WALL-E may be Pixar's most relevant movie when it comes to cultural and social commentary. As much as WALL-E is a part of the machine, they're turning a mirror up to us and showing us how we utilize the machine, how it's impacting us and how it's impacting our world. I think it's a beautiful piece of social commentary. And with that in mind, it's also groundbreaking as far as its production. So with those things in mind, I think it's definitely Criterion quality. Now, if I see in January they're releasing Cars 2, well, then I'm going to be giving it the side eye. But even if they did that, there's a reason for it. But we'll get to that in a minute. So that's my justification for why WALL-E works in the Criterion Collection. And I'm thinking later on TikTok of doing a top 5 Pixar films that I think fit the Criterion Collection, because I think they have a few others, right? Based off that. Important, like cinematic achievements, cultural relevance. Those are the two things I feel that are the most important for Criterion. It doesn't have to be a foreign film, doesn't have to be animated or not animated, can be horror, can be comedy, can be drama, can be documentary. It just needs to be in that area of cinematic importance and or cultural relevance. That's my feeling, and by looking at their mission statement, it's even looser than that. So that's one big announcement. The other big announcement is the Sony Pictures Classics box set. 11 films coming out in a box set of Sony Pictures Classics. Now, the film nerd, and this is not Sony's first, dipping their toe into this kind of box set, because they do the Columbia Classics releases. And it's funny, the Columbia Classics releases have some great films in it. Taxi Driver, different things, Social Network. But I've never just been like so hyped to get those boxes, and I don't know why. I just look at those boxes and I think there's some good movies in there. I hope they put them out individually so I can grab them. But the film nerd in me, call it elitist if you want, that's fine. I'll take it. I'll, give me my beret and, my espresso, and we'll go for it. Because this one intrigues me. Because I feel like the movies in the Columbia Classics sets, most of them, not all of them, but most of them would probably sell fine on their own in a beautiful 4K release. What they're doing with the Sony Pictures Classics, which is more of an indie art house label, subset of Sony, is amazing, because a lot of these films would not do well on 4K alone. So it's so cool that they're putting them out together. And there's some movies I don't know in here. Orlando, I've never seen. Interested, though. Some bonus features there. The Celluloid Closet, a classic. Some extras there. That's a must-see. The City of Lost Children, also a classic, a beautiful film. Something really unique I think everybody should see. And I'm just scrolling through and looking at the list. Some of them have new extras. Some of them don't. Some of them are thinner on extras. Run Lola Run. That one is a really great film from the 90s. Highly recommended. Very fast-paced movie. They call it post-MTV generation. I can see that. Some of these have not actually been out on Blu-ray even. Run Lola Run is out on Blu-ray, but SLC Punk, that one's been hard to come by for a while. And then let's see. There's actually 11 movies in this set. Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon is the only one in this set that had a previous 4K. It was one of the first 4Ks I ever saw on TV, on a TV. I bought a 4K TV, set it up, and got a 4K Blu-ray player, and my friend brought Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon over to test it. And that was the day I learned I had the wrong HDMI cables. So, beautiful movie, though. I'm sure most of you have seen that one. The Devil's Backbone, also a beautiful, creepy movie. Was previously on Criterion, now going to be on a 4K in this box set. I don't think any of these, it's Guillermo del Toro, if you didn't know, I don't think any of these movies are coming out individually either. Volver, I haven't seen this one. This one is a complete cold watch to me. Great cast, interesting movie. Volver, I'll watch it, I'm down. Synecdoche, New York is a great film. Philip Seymour Hoffman, R.I.P. If you're into indie kind of weird offbeat drama, then it's your jam. And it's my jam. I like it. Still Alice, been on my list to watch for a long time. Haven't seen it. I love Julianne Moore. She's the main actor in there, and we'll be very excited to finally see this. There's a problem with the set, though. We're going to get to it. Call Me By Your Name is the one movie in the set that I don't like, and that happens with the Columbia sets also. There's usually one that I don't like. Call Me By Your Name is, acclaimed. People love this movie. Love it. The problem I have with it, it's beautifully shot. I saw it in the theater. Is the same thing with Licorice Pizza. You've got a 16-year-old kid and a mid to late 20s older person in a sexual relationship. No one's calling out the pedophilia that's there. Sorry, it's there. This movie bothers me. I'll be happy to revisit it, because I seem to be the only one who sees that and the only one who doesn't like the movie. So anyway, it's a cool set. The problem with this set from Sony Pictures Classics is $300. That is, you think about 11 4K movies. If you just bought 11 premium release 4Ks, let's say you get them at a good price at $20 a piece, you're talking about under $250, and this thing is $300. I think the price will come down, but it's out there for pre-order now. So what I love about this set is this just hammers home that two companies, Sony and Paramount, are here for physical media. They are here for it. Now, Paramount's struggling. Paramount's trying to get their footing of this Paramount Presents mess that they've got going on, and what's a Paramount Presents titles of 4K or Blu-ray, whatever. But they're putting stuff out, and they're people bitching and moaning. They're putting stuff out. Stop complaining. Buy what you want. Don't buy what you don't want. If it comes out in Blu-ray and you want a 4K, do like me and wait and see, because it's probably going to come in a 4K. Anyway, at least they're supporting physical media and trying to find their footing. Sony is doing box sets. Premium, beautiful box sets for us collectors. Awesome. So we get back to how these two announcements are impacting physical media. I think this Sony release is exciting. It's exciting because it shows that like I said, it shows they're supporting physical media and they're finding their way to do that. If it's limited giant box sets to give us a bunch of movies and get them out there, all right, $300 is a little bit steep. It's a little high, but this is what we need as collectors to anticipate moving forward. The less of us there are, the more expensive things are going to get. And that's what it is. The Criterion release of WALL-E is different. If you look back at my Is Physical Media Dead update for 2022, I predicted that the future of physical media is not that it was going to die, but it was that the big guys will be licensing out their product to independent art house studios, boutique studios for release. I said that. For me, the writing was on the wall. I was reading the tea leaves. It just seemed like it made sense. Universal had already been doing it a little bit with Arrow Video. And then not long after that, or maybe right around the same time, Paramount signed a new deal. They'd had a deal before. They re-upped their deal and expanded it with Kino Lorber for 65, I think, movies. And now we have Criterion releasing WALL-E. So let's take the idea that WALL-E doesn't make sense for Criterion. So why would they do it? Why would they? Are they diluting their brand by doing it? I want to explain my feelings on this through a story a film festival director told me when I was a young filmmaker, when I did my very first feature film. And it was a director here in my city at the Nashville Film Festival. I did a great movie. It was doing well on the festival circuit, mostly on small festivals, but Nashville Film Festival is a large festival. It's one of the larger ones in the country. And I was working for the festival. I was a volunteer at that point, and he rejected my film. And I remember being at the Regal Cinema where the festival takes place and asking him why. And I just wanted feedback. And he walked me into a theater. He said, "Come with me." And he walked me into an empty theater. And he looked around and he said, "Do you know what this auditorium costs?" And I think what I was really mad about is there were a couple of big movies, like the major movies that had releases, feature films, that were getting shown. And I said to him at that point, I'm like, you didn't have to do those. They're going to be out in multiplexes across the country in a month. Why do we show those? And that's when he walked me into that theater and he showed it to me. He said, "This theater costs us $20,000 a day to rent during the festival." And he said to me, "If we showed nothing in our festival but small indie movies that no one heard of, we'd have 5, 10, 12, 20 people in the theater buying tickets during those screenings, and we would never be able to afford to have a festival." He said, "So we have to make room for a few blockbusters, a few guaranteed sellouts to help us cover our costs." We're in a spot now, and I took that lesson moving forward, and understanding that film festivals have to make money in order to show the small things like my movies at that time, they have to make room. They have to skip a small movie here and there and put a big one in so they can pay the bills, because not everybody's coming to see your little documentary. So with that in mind, thinking about Criterion has always been a niche company. They don't sell, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50,000 copies of everything they put out. They put out a lot of small movies. I'm sure some of the things they put a lot of work into probably only sell in the lower thousands of copies, especially when they first come out. I know all of us go and dive in on them during the sale. So with the market for physical media shrinking, an already niche company is going to see their entire audience shrinking too. People are going to HBO Max or the Criterion channel to watch a lot of Criterion releases now. So in order to continue investing into those small movies that sell in the hundreds or low thousands of copies, they've got to have some guaranteed tentpoles. They've got to be able to make money. It's that same lesson that I learned at the film festival. You've got to have a tentpole to keep the tent up for everybody else to get inside, right? So if them putting out a Disney Pixar movie once a month, or Arrow Video putting out Pitch Black, or Vinegar Syndrome putting out Amityville Horror, helps keep them afloat. So Vinegar Syndrome can continue doing their 70s porn thing, and Criterion can continue doing their indie Euro movies that no one has heard of. Or Arrow Video can get those schlocky Euro trash horror movies that no one's heard of. If they have to pick up these big licenses and put them out, do it. And I will support you. For one, Disney does shit 4Ks. I have the Wall-E Steelbook back there in a 4K, and it's a meh Steelbook. This new transfer is director approved and has HDR10 Plus and Dolby Vision, which the previous release didn't have. And I'm assuming new extras too. I haven't investigated it that much. So before you just write that off as like, oh man, their brand is diluting, their brand is expanding, and they're finding ways to keep the lights turned on because fewer people are buying their product, because fewer people are buying all physical media. So I say, even though it's not what we would normally expect from them, support it. Help them keep the lights on so they'll bring us those little Euro movies and, Asian dramas and love stories and all the things that we love from them. Because just because they're releasing Wall-E on 4K doesn't mean they're not also going to release, the same stuff they've always been releasing. So that's my thoughts. What do you think? What do you feel about it? I'm excited because Disney does shit 4Ks and Criterion will do them better justice. Now, if I see they're just repurposing already existing transfers, well, then I won't be buying those. It's got to be a new transfer. Something's got to be done new. Now, with an animated film that's digital to begin with, the only thing they can do is probably do a better color pass, which Wall-E needed. And the HDR10 Plus and the Dolby Vision will offer that. It will offer that. And hey, they only have like 2 other animated films, so it'd be great to have some animated stuff on Criterion. Do I want to see them release Cars 2? No, not really. I hope that something like that doesn't happen. But there are other movies of major historical cinematic impact that they could release. Movies that matter that they could release. And it would be great. So anyway, I ran on long enough. Tell me what you think in the comments. Let's talk about these 2 big releases. Will you be picking them up? And until next we meet, pull something cool off the shelf, share it with your friends and family, and remind them why physical media is the best way to watch films and TV at home. I'll see you guys on the next one.